30 below. Your hands are already lying to you. You've got maybe 10 good strikes before they stop listening, so what's it going to be, flame or frostbite? Fire is not comfort. It's a clock you reset every few hours or you die. Heat, light, cooked calories, dry socks, smoke to signal, eyes in the dark held at the edge. One blaze does all of it. Start with the kit that fits in a pocket but decides your night, a crescent steel striker, a sharp flake of flint, a tin of char cloth and tinder that's actually dry, not, I hope this works, dry. The striker wants confidence, not muscle. Angle the flint like a tiny anvil, slice steel down its edge and shave sparks, not swing wildly and blow your tinder into the snow. Think surgeon, not blacksmith. Char cloth is your spark catcher, pre-baked cotton starved of air, ready to glow at the first kiss of orange. One spark lands, spreads like a slow bruise, and you nurse it. Cup, breathe. Don't spit air like a bellows and blow it cold. Fold that ember into a tinder bundle you prepared hours ago when your fingers still moved. Curls of birch bark, inner cottonwood pith, pine needles rubbed to dust, pocket lint, if that's what you've got. Keep it close to your chest as you work. Your body heat keeps the bundle honest. Now breathe with rhythm. Short pulls to coax, longer draws to feed. The bundle will talk back. Smell shifts, smoke thickens, fibers glow. When the edge tongues into flame, commit. That first flame doesn't care about your feelings. It wants a ladder. Matchstick twigs, pencil-thin sticks, finger-thick fuel, wrist-thick fuel. If you reach for log size too soon, you smother it and you'll spend the night memorizing the sound snow makes on a freshly dug grave. Carry ugly options. Dried buffalo chips don't win friends, but they win fire on tree-line flats where deadwood is a rumor. They smolder steady and mean. Mix with resinous slivers to lift the heat. Bank embers under a drift of ash before you sleep. No glow showing, no breeze stealing. In the morning, rake, feed, go again. It's a cheat code that buys you time when your fingers are wood and the world is glass. Heated stones are another cheat. Pull from the coals, brush ash, wrap in hide, kick them into the foot of your bedroll. They radiate through thin hours, buying you just enough warmth to not wake shivering into sloppy mistakes. Respect the enemies of flame like they're armed. Wet, wind, hurry. Wet is simple. If your kit sinks in a creek, char turns to regret and powder to mud. So double bag, oil the striker, keep tinder in a leather pouch inside your shirt. Wind is trickier. Build a fire where the land helps you, behind a log in a shallow scrape with a wall of green boughs shouldering the gusts. Hurry is the worst. Cold makes you frantic. Frantic makes you dumb. You must go slower to go faster. Set your stage. Fuel sorted by thickness, lay prepped, escape route for smoke. Then strike. Desperation tricks exist, but they bite. Her dusting of gunpowder blown onto your tinder will jumpstart a lazy ember into a greedy flame. But it flash burns. Keep your face out of the blast, or you'll meet morning without eyebrows and with less tinder than you started with. Fats and greases work too. Smear a whisper of bear grease on a sliver of rag for a stubborn, oily wick. It's messy. It's effective. Smell is a price you pay with a pulse. Fire defends. Predators read heat and light like a stop sign and will circle the far edge of orange. People do too. Smokestacks signal rescue and risk at the same time. Choose your burn. Bright and fast when you want to be seen, low and clean when you don't. Green wood smokes heavy. Dry wood burns tight. Mix both on purpose depending on what the night is asking. Your fire will also try to kill you. Sparks in a dry cabin roof turn warmth into an eviction notice. Keep a lid of packed snow, a bucket, or a blanket ready. Keep the floor around the hearth clean. Loose bark curls catch first, then history. Sleep with one ear trained for the hiss that shouldn't be there. Ritual matters because ritual reduces errors. When you stop for the day, you collect tinder before you're tired. When you break camp, you restock the pouch you raided last night. When you cook, you dry tomorrow's wood above tonight's flames. When you lie down, you bank the coals. Do it every time or accept that one day you will do it never again. So choose. With 10 strikes left and a wind that wants all of them, you either bring a spark to heal or you become a footnote under a drift. Good? Your flame is catching, your fingers sting back to life and the dark steps back a pace. But heat without a way to hold it is wasted. The wind is already reaching for what you built. Next, walls against the wind. Raise a roof before the night cashes your check. Winter never announces its surrender. It leaks it. The first sign is sound, water dripping where silence ruled. Roof edges bead and weep. The snowpack softens underfoot, turning each step from a crisp snap to a sodden sigh. The woods smell different too. Rot waking, soil breathing, green threads testing the air. Thaw is not victory. It's transition, and transition is dangerous. Ice thins uneven. Rivers run swollen and violent. Roofs sag with melt before they lighten. Trails that held steady for months collapse into mud that swallows sled runners and boots alike. Every tool, every store, every joint in your cabin gets tested anew. This is the audit. Wood piles cut too short burn to nothing, just as the nights still bite. Meat smoked poorly turns sour, fat rendered badly grows rank. Repairs you promised yourself you'd make when it warms now break under meltwater and thaw wind. You don't get to celebrate yet. You get to reckon. But the thaw is also promise. Traps bait easier. Game stirs. Fish run in freshets. Shoots rise from ground that looked dead. Sap climbs and with it comes sweetness, calories trade. Work shifts from defense to expansion. Snowshoes go on pegs, plows and spades come out. Timber meant for burning becomes timber meant for building. Again, you'll feel the pull to relax, don't. Many have survived the blizzard, only to drown in a swollen creek or starve, because they miscounted stores before forage truly returned. The last mile of winter is the cruelest. Keep discipline. Fires banked, watches kept, repairs done, and yet let yourself notice. The first geese overhead are worth more than a sermon. The first flower under the eaves is a promise to the children that life isn't just endurance. The thaw is where survival bends back toward living. One morning you'll step outside and realize the silence is broken. Birds calling, ice breaking, wind carrying more scent than cold. That's when you know you didn't beat winter. You outlasted it, and that's enough. The storm doesn't care that you have fire. It cares that you don't have walls. You've got daylight measured in inches, and a forecast that sounds like teeth. Build fast, build smart, or freeze tidy. Rule 1. Pick your ground like your life depends on it, because it does. Avoid hollows where cold sinks and drifts bury you alive. Face your opening away from the prevailing wind. Use rock, bank, or timber as a ready-made shoulder. Scratch a shallow trench under where the fire will sit. Cold air pools low. You want heat to travel, not drown? If timber's around, a crash-build log box beats poetry. Fell small-diameter pines you can manhandle without a team. Cut to equal lengths with a bias toward short. Less sag, tighter seams. Notch ends with quick V or half dovetail cuts, so corners lock instead of wriggle. You're not crafting heirlooms. You're denying wind. Stack to shoulder height fast, then chink everything. Moss, mud, shredded bark, dry grasses, even snow packed tight on the outside as a temporary gasket. Leave a window slit only where necessary. Light costs heat. Roof, speed over pretty. Throw ridgepole first. Then run split shingles or bark sheets in overlapping fish scale downslope. Don't trap smoke with a flat lid. Give hot air a path and remember, a smoke hole without a baffle is an invitation to weather. Improvise a collar. Green boughs in a ring, a hide flap, anything that breaks the wind so smoke goes out and snow stays out. If you've got the minutes, lash a lean pitch, not steep enough to dump all your precious heat, not shallow enough to collect a coffin of snow. No trees, welcome to the sod solution. Prairie sod blocks, 2 feet long, 6 inches thick. Stack like ugly bricks and insulate like a miracle. Cut with a plow blade, spade, or sharpened board. Lift with both hands and lay grass side down for grip. Stagger seams. Angle inward slightly each course to fight collapse and cap with a lattice of willow plus another layer of sod. Expect earth smell, bugs, and charm at zero. Expect warmth at a discount. Lay a liner of cloth, hide, or even bark to cut the dirt crumble onto your blankets. Mark your entrance with a stout lintel. Sod doors sag under their own mood. If you're alone or racing the dark, go smaller and smarter. A lean-to backed against a rock face or a snow wall. Drive a ridgepole between 2 forked stakes. Lean green boughs or hides tight. And then think like a furnace. Dig a shallow pit just outside the open face for your fire. Ring it with stones to grab heat and drop a reflective wall behind the flames. Bark sheet, stacked logs, or a suspended blanket. Heat radiates forward. Your shelter drinks it. Lay a browse bed inside, spruce boughs, dry grass, at least hand deep to stop the ground from stealing you blind. Snow the enemy is also material. In a whiteout, a snow trench or cave beats death in straight sets. Carve into a drift with a narrow entrance and a raised sleeping platform. Cold air sinks. You sleep above it. Poke a fist-sized vent up and keep it open. People burn oxygen faster than pride. Smooth the ceiling to prevent melt drip points, and line the floor with boughs or anything dry. Snow walls block wind like stone if you cut and stack hard-packed blocks. Do not burn a roaring fire inside. A candle or small lamp elevates temps safely without collapse. Borrow brilliance. Earth lodges are engineering lessons in a circle. Post-ring crosspoles brush sod smoke hole. Dense, low, stubbornly warm. Pack snow around the base to seal drafts. Whether you replicate the whole system or just steal the principles, thermal mass, low profile, centered fire, you gain hours of comfortable decision-making. Failure modes deserve a countdown. Roof collapse. Overbuild your supports, clear heavy loads during lulls, and don't park your sleeping spot under the weakest span. Chimney flash. Line your flue with clay mud slurry if you can. Keep sparks down with a crude screen and store a douse of snow water blanket within one step. Ground heave. Frozen soil shifts. Brace interior posts with opposing wedges and keep your heaviest stash near load-bearing points. Door drift. Hang a flap you can cut free if the snow seals you in, and keep a shovel inside, not out where it becomes modern art under 3 feet of white. Micro upgrades that pay rent. Lash a drying rack above and offset from the fire. Tonight's heat cures tomorrow's fuel and fights wet gear doom. Hang a pot hook so your cook fire doesn't demand circus tricks. Trench a tiny gutter around the hearth to catch rolling coals before they find tinder you didn't mean to offer. Tuck heated stones under the sleeping platform to charge the bed, not the room. Cache emergency tinder and a second spark kit in a dry corner away from the main hearth. Fire failures cascade if everything depends on one spot. Ritual returns because ritual keeps you alive. Every evening, check roof load, bank embers, block drafts, stage kindling. Every morning, vent clear, wall scan, wood sorted by size. Every move, rebuild your windbreak before your fire complains. And every time you leave, stash a half day of fuel inside so a whiteout doesn't strand you 5 feet from safety you can't reach. You've trapped the heat. The wind has to fight for inches now, not take miles for free. Good. But the air still knifes exposed skin and the cold hunts through every seam it can find. Next, wear your survival. Layer like a stubborn animal and make your clothes work as hard as you do. Cold is a thief with a master key. It doesn't kick the door. It slips through seams, steals sensation 1 finger at a time, and leaves the bill in blackened skin. So you don't get dressed, you build armor. Start with the layer that kisses your bones. Linen or fine wool if you've got it. Anything that wicks if you don't. Sweat is winter's accomplice. If it stays on you, it will cash you out when you stop moving. Your base layer's job is simple. Move moisture away and dry fast. Tight enough to hug. Loose enough to breathe. If all you have is a rough shirt, keep a spare and rotate. Change the wet one the instant work ends. Shivering while you swap is cheaper than shivering all night. Middle is the engine room. Wool. Not pretty, not soft, always loyal. Even wet. It keeps most of its warmth because the crimp traps air like 1,000 tiny furnaces. Knit sweaters, woven vests, scrap blankets cut and stitched into crude waistcoats. Whatever you can stack without turning your arms into logs. If you only own one wool piece, make it a vest. Core warmth buys finger time. Sew interior pockets into this layer. Flint tin, a twist of tinder, a folded rag, a stub of fat wood, a needle and sinew. Clothes aren't fashion here. They're storage you can't drop in the snow. Outer is your weather wall, buckskin, elk or buffalo if fortune smiles. Heavy canvas waxed with tallow if it doesn't. Brain tan buckskin moves and sheds snow like it's alive, but it stiffens if you neglect it. Keep a twist of bear or deer grease in a pouch. Rub it in the minute you feel the hide go from friendly to plank. A thin smear along seams and cuffs turns them from cold funnels into gates. If you're running hair on hides, turn the fur inward for a pocket of heat, outward if freezing rain is a threat. Know the trade. Hair in warms better and lures lice. Hair out shrugs sleet but leaks heat faster. Decide by sky, not by preference. Hands are the frontline casualties if you treat them like tools instead of assets. 2-layer your grip. Thin liners, wool if possible, that can still strike a spark and over mitts of fur. Wolf, coyote, rabbit stitched in panels. Hair inward. Big, ugly, perfect. String them on a cord through your sleeves so a gust can't buy them off you. When you need dexterity, pull the mitt, do the task with liners and get the mitt back on before the ache blooms. Keep a flat river stone in your coat, warmed by the fire to reheat fingertips without cooking them. Feet, neglect them and watch your world shrink to the length of a limp. Moccasins, double-soled with rawhide, Beat stiff boots on cold, dry ground because they let blood move and let you feel the land. On ice and rock, they die fast, so cycle, wear, dry, repair. Carry a spare pair if your miles demand it. Line the mock with felted wool or dried grass. Swap the fill at dusk before it becomes a swamp. Bind a wrap of rabbit or muskrat around the forefoot when the mercury sulks. Fur inward, lash in a figure 8 to keep it honest. If your only footwear is leather boots, pull the footbeds and sleep with them in your coat. Frozen insoles cost morning time you don't own. Head and neck are the thermostat you forget. A wool cap under a fur hood turns "I can't feel my ears" into "I can think again." Wrap the neck with a scarf or a triangular band of hide. Leave a quick pull knot you can free with mitts if it ices. A thin band over the face, wool or cotton, steals frost from your breath before it colonizes your mustache into a glacier you can't eat behind. Belts and sashes aren't decoration, they're load-bearing. A woven wool sash, crowded with quillwork if you inherited pride, tightens your middle, traps heat, and offers places to tuck knife, awl, fire kit, and a sealed twist of salt. Salt keeps hands from cramping when you've swung an axe too long and saves broths from tasting like melted snow. Grease is a garment. A thumb of fat on cheekbones and nose buys you minutes in a slicing wind. On leather, grease equals lifespan. On seams, grease equals weatherproof. On skin, grease equals less windburn and fewer cracks that bleed when you grip a tool. Smell like a bear. Yes, live like one also, yes. Maintenance is the difference between my coat and my coffin. Every night, brush snow hard from fur with a stick, not hands. Hang the day's layers high on a line where the heat licks but doesn't bite. Rotate. The piece closest to the smoke today is 2 feet farther tomorrow, so resin doesn't turn it into brittle paper. Patch at the first tier. A rip in still air is a window in the next gust. Keep a kit the size of a palm. Sinew thread, bone needle, scrap hide, beeswax, 3 safety pins if you traded smart. Stitch with small bites and double back. If you have to repair in the field, pinch with a pin and lash with cord until the hearth can host the fix. Camouflage isn't for play. It's for meat and for being left alone. Walnut hulls brew a brown that disappears in timber. Ash or clay rubbed across buckskin sours the scent and dulls a shine. Snow blinds bright. The solution is charcoal smears and a white wrap or canvas slip that breaks your outline. Don't dress like a flag and wonder why every eye finds you. Weight is a liar. A buffalo coat feels like a child on your shoulders until the wind shrieks and you realize it's a personal stove. But if it gets soaked, you pay. Plan your moves. Heavy coats for still work or watch, lighter stacks for hauling. Sweat kills layers. Vent early. Open your collar and loosen the sash before you drench, not after. Field rule: if you're warm when you start moving, you wore too much. Pockets save lives. 1 on the chest for fire, 1 inside for a wrapped meat scrap, 1 arm for a needle and 2 fishhooks, 1 hip for a waxed paper twist of black powder if your horn fails. Food in clothing beats food in a pack you dropped when you stumbled in a drift. Superstition. Some will stitch a wolf tooth inside a cuff or tie a red thread around the wrist. The mind wants a say. Fine. Let the charm ride as long as the work gets done. Grease the seams, change the base layer, elevate the feet, dry the mitts, rotate the mocks, check for lice and smoke them out with a smudge if the itch becomes a distraction you can't afford. Do a pre-dawn checklist before your brain is fully online. Neck covered, wrist sealed, ankles sealed. Backup spark tin, spare liners, grease twist, knife, cord. Tap each item with a gloved finger. Ritual kills mistakes while you're still waking up. Now you can stand in the wind and still think. Excellent. Thinking is what gets you fed. The cold doesn't care how warm you are if your belly's hollow. Next, meet in a white desert. 1 shot, silent traps, and how to keep what you take from vanishing into the snow. Hunger makes noise you can hear over the wind. It turns smart people reckless and reckless people into cautionary tales. The winter answer isn't bravado. It's systems that turn chance into calories. Rifle first because loud sometimes wins. The Kentucky long rifle isn't magic. It's repetition. Swab the bore, measure the charge, seat the patch and ball with the ramrod until you feel the kiss at the powder. Prime the pan, half cock safe, full cock only when the sight picture is real, not hoped for. Powder stays high on the body. Inside coat, hornstopper tight, spare in a wax twist in your pocket. Cold air makes black powder sulk. Moisture kills it. Keep a dry rag for the frizzen and pan. Grease your patch with tallow that doesn't freeze into glass. Practice a slow trigger press with mitts. Pinch, not yank. You won't get many shots in winter. Make the one you earn count. Tracking in snow is generous until it lies. Fresh powder exaggerates stride and size. Learn the edges. Sharp prints mean minutes old. Rounded edges mean hours. Wind-skimmed means don't waste the day. Crisscrossing paths, that's a feeding ground. Circle down wind and glass before stepping into your own ambush. Read the story. A deer's slot tracks with dew claws showing Kaisang's heavy, likely buck. Rabbit tracks like a figure eight, a loop route worth snaring. Predator tracks following ungulate. Let them do the work and cut the trail where carcass will be. Quiet fills bellies better than glory. Traps are the winter workforce that don't ask for food. Steel jaw beaver traps if you've got them. Ride on drowned sets under ice. Chop a slot, set the trap on a guide stick, scent with castoreum, and stake so you don't donate steel to the river. Deadfalls cost nothing but time. Figure 4 or Paiute triggers, balanced rock or log. Baited with what the target craves. Apple peel for rabbits where orchards exist. Fish tails for mustelids. Fat scrap for everything that smells. Snare wire or twisted cord set at head height on rabbit runs turns sunrise into protein. Walk your lines early. Cold preserves, but scavengers clock in before you. Safety talk you don't skip. Set traps with a stick, not fingers. Tie a lanyard to your trap key. Keep your hands warm enough to feel the difference between trigger and lever. A trap on your skin is a lesson you won't enjoy. Mark your sets with a code you understand and others won't. Blaze too obvious and hungry strangers can tax your work. Bait discipline beats bait volume. Frozen meat doesn't smell. Scrape the surface to lift scent, or melt a smear of fat over it. In subzero, a drop of warm grease on the trigger plate can keep a hair trigger honest when ice would glue it shut. In wind, build tiny snow or brush fences to funnel animals toward your set. Wildlife takes the path of least resistance like we do. Family hunts are not training wheels. They're redundancies. One person on the rifle, one on the reload, one on watch for wolves or two-legged problems. The first shot is for the deer. The second is for the coyotes that heard the first. Reload before you celebrate. Field dress with speed and discipline. Cut high to avoid puncturing gut. Split the pelvis if you can. Hang the carcass if there's a tree. Snow cool if not. Keep gloves on. Blood warmth lies. Frostbite sneaks while you think you're fine. Bag the liver and heart. Winter needs iron and fat. Fish is winter's quiet ace where ice will hold you. Spear through a darkened ice hole after chumming with crushed bait. Set tip-ups with baitfish and rotate between holes like you're tending tiny campfires. Under ice nets, if you know the pull-through dance, will feed a camp like nothing else. Keep rope tied to you. Ice is an argument you don't always win. Carry a spike around your neck to claw back out if the lake decides to bite. Small game stacks calories with less risk. A line of spring snares takes an hour to set and pays all week. Ladder them along runs every couple of yards. Check twice daily to honor the animal and keep meat from becoming crow food. Keep feathers and fur down for sewing into a hood channel. Fur trim around mid-cuff stops drafts. Sinew from leg tendons becomes the best thread you'll own. Waste is a summer sin. In winter, it's sabotage. Preservation starts the moment you have more meat than a single meal. Smoke is insurance, not seasoning. Build a low, cool smoke with punky hardwood. Hickory or apple if you're lucky, willow if you're not. Open the meat into thin sheets, hang with space, never over direct flame. You're drying first, smoking second. The goal is bend, not break, and a surface that feels tacky, then firm. Jerky lives in hide bags with a pinch of ash to discourage bugs. Pemmican lives in your future. Equal parts powdered dried meat and rendered fat, sweetened or stabilized with dried berries if available. Packed tight, it ignores time and weather. Snow is a good liar and a good freezer. Cache meat in a snow pit lined with branches, then cover with snow and a thatch of brush to hide from eyes and noses. Mark it in code only you read. A triangle of 3 thin sticks that look like storm blowdown from a few paces. Better yet, make 2. A decoy cache, shallow and close, the real one deeper and elsewhere. Ravens are thieves and tutors. Assume you're being watched. Fire and fat unlock more food from less meat. Long-simmered bone broth leaches calories from what others toss. Save marrow like gold. Render fat slow, tiny bubbles, no smoke, then pour into clean containers, even clean stomachs, and seal with a skin of cooling grease. Fat is heat you can carry. Her spoon of tallow in morning porridge turns a slog into a march. Etiquette with neighbors, human and otherwise, keeps you alive longer than a full larder. Overtrap a beaver pond and the pond dies. The pond dies and the valley changes. The valley changes, and you lose more than hats. If a nearby family is starving, you share enough that they don't turn into desperate problems. Trade traps and knowledge for corn and squash. Meat alone is a short story. Predators are part of the accounting. Wolves will tail a blood trail like it owes them money. Manage scent, haul off trail, loop, rest, listen. If eyes shine from the tree line while you quarter, keep the fire up, keep someone facing the dark, keep your back to a wall, a torch and a low growl by distance. The rifle is plan C. Plan A is looking bigger than you feel. Plan B is leaving before arguing with a pack. Your rifle will betray you the one time you skimp on cleaning. After the shot and the work, swab the bore while the barrel is still a little warm. Dry then a whisper of oil on a cloth down and back. Check the flint edge. Sharp flint showers sparks. Dull flint makes excuses. Cut a new edge with a nap, or rotate the shard in the jaws. Store it where it won't chew your coat or your skin. Hunger also steals judgment. Eat small and steady. Don't cash out the day's catch in a single meal because the work tomorrow didn't get easier. Reserve a hard day pocket ration. 1 cake of pemmican, 1 twist of jerky, a handful of parched corn, in your clothing, not your pack. That's for when loss becomes real, and pride would rather save the main stores for camp. Teach the young and the tired the same rule. No shot you take should be a shot you can't recover. Don't shoot across water you can't cross. Don't shoot at last light unless you can track in the dark without becoming a headline for spring thaw. Don't shoot onto ice you haven't read. Winter punishes optimism. Reward only the plans that account for failure. Now your cookfire talks in the language everyone believes. The pot simmers. The camp smells like not dying. But meat doesn't swing an axe, carry logs, mend roofs, or stitch skin. That part is on your body, and your body is wearing thin. Next, bodies that refuse to quit. Keep the engine running on bad fuel, fix what breaks with what you have, and don't let your head go dark while the world stays white. Winter runs a protection racket. Pay in calories and discipline or it breaks your stuff, starting with you. The trick isn't heroics. It's staying operational when the tank reads empty and the road is ice. Start with numbers that don't care about feelings. Swinging an axe, dragging sled loads, shoveling a path. Stack those and you're burning 3,000, 4,000 calories on a lean day. You won't always have that to eat. So you set cadence. Work in blocks. 20 to 30 minutes hard. 5 to 10 minutes soft, before the sloppiness that causes injuries shows up. Rotate tasks. Chop, then carry, then mend, then tend the fire. You're not trying to win a sprint. You're trying to see spring. Hydration is the sneaky failure. Cold deletes thirst cues. Melted snow straight from the pot steals heat and can cramp you. Bring it to a bare boil, let it sit by the fire until it's warm, not scalding. Add a pinch of salt and fat, tallow, bear grease, even a smudge of broth, to turn water into fuel you can use. Tea isn't luxury, it's compliance. Willow bark eases aches. Spruce or pine needles patch vitamin C. Mint or yarrow settles a savage stomach. Brew light, drink often. Fuel smart. Fat is the furnace. Protein repairs. Carbs spare the firewood inside you. Field rule. Carry hot bites you can eat without thinking. A finger of pemmican, a lump of jerky softened in your cheek, parched corn in a pocket. Eat small every hour you're moving. Big meals at the end of a hard day are a promise you can't always keep awake for. Skin and joints are consumables if you treat them like armor. Before work, grease knuckles, cheekbones, and noses with a whisper of fat to seal out wind. Wrap wrists and ankles snug. Loose cuffs are heat leaks that also invite frostbite. If you're doing repetitive swings, choke down on the axe haft, keep elbows soft, and swap sides every dozen strikes. Blister prevention is easier than blister triage. Dry socks at midday. Swap liners, dust feet with ash if you have it, and air them by the fire without roasting them into wood. Frostbite triage doesn't begin when something turns black. It begins when sensation gets unreliable. Numb is a siren. First warning, skin goes waxy and white or gray. You still have time. Warm the area against your body. Fingers under armpits, hands between thighs, face in scarf. Do not rub with snow. Do not rub at all. You're not icing a cake. You're preserving tissue. If it's deeper, hard wood-like white or mottled blue, rewarm only if you can keep it warm. Thaw refreeze is limb lottery you don't want to play. Warm water, body heat, shelter, patience. Expect pain. Pain is proof you're winning. Cuts and splits invite fever right when there's no spare body to take your shift. Clean with boiled, cooled water. Pack with yarrow, spruce pitch, or honey if you traded well. Stitch with sinew on a bone needle if the gap gapes. Short bites tie off every few passes. Keep it dry and change the wrap when it's damp, not when you remember. Splints for sprains or fractures come from the woodpile. Straight sticks, cloth wrap, snug but not strangling. Immobilize, elevate when resting, and delegate anything that shakes the injury. Backs break camps. Lift with thighs, keep loads close. Use a drag sled or travoy rather than proving a point to no one. If you must haul, lash the load high to avoid snow grab, and pause before dropping it to read the ground. Ice under snow turns a confident step into a rumor you used to be sturdy. Sleep is a tool. You don't own 8 hours. You borrow 4 twice if weather lets you. Preheat the bed. Hot stones wrapped in rags, dry layers only, spare socks on. Eat a fat, heavy bite before lying down. The slow burn holds your core where it belongs. Wake once to turn and check the fire in the roof load. That's not insomnia. That's a security patrol for your body. The head is where winter makes its first big purchase. Isolation turns small noises into verdicts and chores into arguments. Counter with structure. Morning checklist before thought. Water on, embers raked, latrine dug, wood staged, traps checked. The evening checklist before pride. Roof sweep, tools stowed, tinder pouch refilled, socks swapped, embers banked. Talk aloud if you're alone. Task narrations keep the mind from spiraling. If there are 2 or more of you, assign, even when it feels fussy. Clarity is warmth you don't have to burn. Cabin fever creeps in quiet. Story rounds at night. A game scratched into a board, a hymn hummed while you mend. This isn't fluff. So it's ballast. A 10-count breath with eyes shut. Before decisions keeps you from picking fights with weather. Make room for a small joke every day. It's kindling for the spirit. Borrow strength. Spruce tips for scurvy. Bone broth for joints. Sun on skin whenever the sky allows. A few push-ups or squats inside the shelter to stoke heat before you step out. Keep one green day every week where the goal is maintenance and mending, not heroics. Fix seams, sharpen edges, reorganize the stash, rest the back. That day buys you 6 others. You're still here because you refuse to pay winter's tax in haste and hope. Good. But one body, no matter how stubborn, is not a plan. The storm that eats your woodpile will also eat your pride if you're alone. Next, the winter network. Turn neighbors into a second heartbeat and barters into calories you don't have to hunt. When the barometer drops, the smartest animal in the forest is the one with friends. Winter punishes solo acts. It also rewards logistics. Who you know, what you've traded, and whether people answer when you knock at midnight. Open with a hard rule. Your household is not the unit of survival. Your network is. Map it. Literally scratch a circle in soot on the wall. Your cabin at center. Then spokes north, a family with flour. West, a trapper with steel and stories. South, a widow who can stitch a boot from scraps. East, a small band that fishes under ice. Now assign strengths, debts, and signals. You don't want to invent a plan when the door won't open, because the drift made a second wall. Pooling beats hoarding because hoarding collapses silently. Start a winter circle with a ledger that's simple enough to run half asleep. Columns no one can argue with. Wood cords, smoked meat pounds, fat jars, grain sacks, trapline shares, childcare days. If ink is precious, knot a cord and add beads or notches. Blue for wood, red for meat, white for grain. Totals are public. Specifics stay private. The ledger isn't about fairness. It's about continuity. People accept tight belts when they can see the belt tightening the same on neighbors. Define roles before the blizzard writes them for you. Wood captains schedule cuts and rotations. Smokehouse keepers run the slow fire and the timing. Watchers do dawn and dusk rounds for predators and strangers. If you're all generalists, you're all redundant. Assign backups and confirm them aloud. Call and echo is a winter language. Marta has the smokehouse. Marta has the smokehouse. When ice in your beard muffles sense, repetition does the remembering. Make a rule about the rule. Anyone who brings a problem brings a solution. If a family's meat is gone, they arrive with traps and hands, not just hunger. If your roof split, you show up with nails and a plan, not just a story. Charity is fuel you can't burn long. Contribution is a second stove. It sounds cold. It keeps people warm. Trading posts are the network's heart and lung. The air there is 60% smoke, 30% breath, 10% rumor. Use all of it. When you walk in, you carry three things: a product, a skill, and a question. Product earns immediate credit: furs, tallow, wool, salt if you're blessed. Skill earns durable respect: mending metal, setting deadfalls, reading ice. A question earns information you can't hunt: who's sick, who's moving, what the river did last week. Listen first. A trapper bragging about a fat run on the green means the green is being emptied. Trade away your steel instead of running there. A clerk grumbling about wet powder means springs are seep flooding. Move your powder horn to a higher pocket. Barter terms in winter are physics. Weight costs. Bulk bleeds heat. A pound of fat is more than a pound of meat. A working needle is heavier than a dozen pretty promises. Don't trade away your last of anything that makes more of something else. Needles, cordage, files, awls. Those are force multipliers. Do trade away redundancy that strains your back for little gain. An extra kettle you can't fill. A second axe head if your handle supply is one storm from zero. Rituals at trade are not fluff. They are protocols. A shared pipe, a pinch of sage into the fire, a hand to the heart. These slow the transaction long enough for both sides to see each other. That breath is where mistakes get corrected and ambushes fail to launch. If the postmaster runs a tally and cuts you off mid-argument, thank him. He's preventing a fight that would eat 2 winters of trust in one afternoon. Winter communication needs redundancy more than eloquence. Agree on signals with neighbors. 3 horn blasts means help now. 1 long blast means meeting. 2 short at dusk means wolves. Flags on a ridge. Smoke in bands. Thin for peace, thick for need. If you're fancy, a night lantern code. Lantern hung high on the east corner. We're healthy, low on the west. Illness here. Knock but keep distance. None. Assume sleep or trouble. Write it down. Nail it inside everyone's door. Build a communal smokehouse early, even if pride wants your own. Shared fire means shared vigilance. Rotate tenders in pairs. 1 to feed wood, 1 to listen for the wrong sounds. A snap that isn't from the stack, a footfall that isn't yours, a cough that's too wet. Keep a posted chart. Batch, owner, start time, wood type. Winter makes memory a liar. The chart makes it a clerk. Children are network accelerators if you train them. Their legs are quick, and their curiosity pierces fog. Give them routes. Path to the widows, to the trappers, to the post, and backup rules. If the lantern is west low, you wait at the stump and sing 2 verses. If the river groans, you step back and go around by the pines. 1 boy with a message can add a day to a sick man's life. 1 girl with a kettle can turn a neighbor's thin soup into something that holds a body together. Pay them in stories and first pick of the toasted crisp on the pork, and they'll run routes you'd slip on. Illness protocol is how you avoid friendly fire. When coughs start, quarantine fast. Put a sign on the door that says what you need. Not just keep out. Water at stump, wood to lean to, leave meat on nail. Set a drop point and a pickup time so help doesn't become cross-contamination. Rotate caregivers who have already been exposed. Keep the unexposed on perimeter work. Burn rags. Wash hands with ash and hot water. Folklore says smoke chases sickness. Science says ventilation and separation do the heavy lifting. Use both. Conflict will visit, usually carrying a sack with less in it than pride wants to admit. Write down a winter truce. No taking traps, no poaching smokehouse racks, shared access to the spring at set times, a mediation hour after sundown with 2 elders present, no rifles inside unless called for. Post it where the door slams. When someone breaks it, deal fast and narrow, return, repay, or work it off. Rage is fire you need for heat. Security is a chore, not a drama. Pair patrol at dusk with a thermos, a horn, and a lantern. Walk the perimeter slow, not heroic. Look for what's different. A snowdrift scabbed by a boot edge, a fence post lean, a shadow where none lived last night. Rotate routes so your pattern isn't a gift to anything watching. Dogs are alarms that work while you sleep. Feed them first and they'll buy you minutes, when minutes are the only currency that matters. Cross-culture barter is not exotic. It's essential. Neighboring bands know ice better than you, fish better than you, medicines better than you. You know iron patching, maybe gun repair better than they. Don't offer junk. Don't demand secrets. Trade as if you'll need to trade again in a storm with your roof bent and your pride cracked. It's not charity, it's continuity. Plan for the day you can't move. Cache a network kit in a marked stump, a small ledger, charcoal spare flint tin, 2 needles, cordage. 3 signal flags, a horn mouthpiece, a roll of clean cloth, a twist of salt, a printed copy of your signal code. If your cabin burns or your sled shatters, that stump is the second start. Tell 3 people where it is. When a neighbor's place fails, you march them there and they start again without begging. Story is glue. Not the soft kind that turns nights into lullabies, the kind that tells you who keeps their word. After shared work, tell what happened and who did what. Eva lifted the ridgepole when the wind took it. Old Tom split his last fat jar with Marta when her boy took fever. These aren't compliments. They're credit ratings encoded in pride. People live up to the stories told about them. Make the currency you trade include reputation, and suddenly the ledger has a second page you don't have to write. Set a winter market day even if the trail is mean. 4 households meeting for an hour swaps more than goods. News of thin ice, a new snare trick, a warning about strangers, a laugh that drains poison from the weak. Make one rule. Everyone leaves with something, an idea if not an item. Write the best ideas on a plank and hang it where eyes can't miss it. Dry wood stacked under the sled, not on it. Warm water before bed saves fuel at dawn. Share the first smoke. It keeps the second honest. Finally, drill the worst night before it arrives. Run a blackout exercise. 1 lantern, 1 horn, no talking for 2 minutes, while each person goes to their emergency station. Timers tell the truth. Did the bucket reach the door? Did the child find the mitts? Did someone light the signal on the ridge? Fix what failed. Praise what flowed. The drill is 5 minutes of awkward now, to prevent 5 hours of tragedy later. You've turned neighbors into a second. Heartbeat and trade into calories you didn't. Have to chase through drifts. Good. But all that cooperation still needs leverage. Steel. You can trust when the wind tries to take your roof and the woodpile wants to stay a tree. Next, steel that shapes a winter. 1 axe you can't afford to break and the small edges that turn work into survival. Whiteout is a thief that steals not just distance but direction. Trees flatten into a wall of grey. Landmarks vanish like lies told twice. Your map? A rumor. Your compass? A needle with opinions. This is where people walk in circles and swear the world is spinning them. It's not, their brains are. Your job is to unspin it. Open with humility. The compass is a tool, not a verdict. Cold thickens the dampening fluid. Frost fogs the card. And iron in the ground drags the needle like a magnet under the tablecloth. Step 1. Take the compass off your body before you trust it. Axe heads, rifle barrels, knives, even stove wire will skew it. Hold it at waist height away from metal and let it settle for a full, slow breath. If the needle jitters without wind or movement, you're in an iron patch. Note the bearing, then step sideways 30-50 paces and check again. If the reading jumps, the ground is lying. If it steadies, lock your course. Locking a course means more than the needle says west. Pick a distant object on that azimuth, lone spruce, notch in a ridge, a V where 2 branches meet, and walk to it. When you reach it, repeat. Same bearing, new object. This is leapfrogging, and it's how you prevent small errors from compounding into how did a mile become 3? In a whiteout where distance dies, plant a staff with a rag in the snow on your bearing line. Walk a short leg to a visible feature, then turn and confirm the staff is still exactly where it should be, on your back azimuth line. If it's off to left or right, the wind or terrain is hurting you. Correct now, not later. The back azimuth is your homing wire. If you walked out on 300 degree, your back azimuth is 120 degree. Add or subtract 180. Write it on your glove cuff with charcoal. In panic, math fails. The glove doesn't. Every time you change heading for an obstacle, deadfall maze, wind-scoured hollow, stretch of wind slab, mark the detour in steps and degrees and correct after. Tiny lies add up. Tiny truths subtract them. Snow itself will tell you things if you stop trying to make it poetry and let it be physics. Wind carves sastrugi, hard shin-high ridges with knife edges that align with prevailing wind. Travel parallel to them, if the wind is consistent with the weather you know. If they shift angle across a field, the land is turning you. Drifts build deep on the lee side of obstacles. Scoured ice marks windward. A long stripe of drift on the right side of trunks for an hour means you've been quartering the wind the whole time, whether you meant to or not. Trees are compasses with caveats. Moss is often thicker on the north face, but often is a winter joke when the valley is wet and the ridge is dry, and the river fog freezes where it wants. Use tree clues as tiebreakers, not deciders. Branch density sometimes favors south where the sun feeds growth. Bark patterns can be rougher on the stormward side. The only safe rule: collect 3 witnesses before a conviction. If moss, branch bias and snow flagging all agree, lean into it. If one disagree, you're back to the needle and the sky. Speaking of sky, when clouds break and the night is empty of malice, the Big Dipper becomes a ladder to north. Draw a straight line through the 2 farbole stars, Merak to Dubi. Carry it 5 times their distance, and you stab Polaris, the North Star. It won't be at the top of the sky unless you're far north. It hugs the spot like a nail in the dome. In the southern sky, Orion's belt is a ruler. Extend it down to find roughly west in the early evening, east in the pre-dawn, season-dependent. Better is to use the belt to find Sirius than cast back. The point isn't astronomy. It's anchors that don't blow away. Daylight has a clock if you build one. Stick a staff in level snow. Scratch a small circle at its shadow tip and wait. When the shadow moves, it draws an arc. Halfway between the farthest left and right positions is south, north behind you. Crude? Yes, enough to keep your body from writing SOS in circles. Also yes, in deep cold you don't wait hours. You get trend, compare to wind, compare to compass, and triangulate a truth you can walk. Rivers and drainages are handrails. This is a navigator's trick. Pick a linear feature and travel along it rather than across empty white. Hare Creek, a tree line, a ridge spine, even a fence half buried in drifts, they define direction. If your destination lies across country, first move to a reliable handrail, then follow it to a known intersection, then switch handrails. Think like a subway. Transfer at the big stations, not in the tunnel. When in doubt, follow water downhill. It will find a river, a valley, a settlement, or at least spare you the ridge's knives. Pacing and timing turn legs into rulers. Learn your stride on packed snow. 100 paces equals roughly X yards when you're not sinking. On snowshoes, your 100 paces is shorter and slower. Memorize that number too. Count paces in sets, left foot each time, and use a string of knots on your wrist, the old Ranger beads trick. Slide 1 bead every 100, reset at 900, and you've measured a kilometer without a pencil. Pair it with time. If your normal kilometer is 15 minutes on shoes and today it's 30, conditions doubled your cost. That matters when deciding if you'll reach the ridge before dark or camp in the timber and keep your ears. Belief lives here too, and it's a saboteur. People drift right if they're right-handed, left if left-handed, because one leg is stronger and snow punishes symmetry. Your brain will whisper, just a little more that way, and that way becomes a slow spiral. Beat it with hard checks. Plant 2 poles in a line a few yards apart on your bearing, walk to the far pole, then sight back. If the first pole is not in line, reset. If you're traveling in a group, put the person with the steadiest pace up front and rotate often. The human metronome drifts when it tires. Bent trees are trail signs if you know what you're seeing. Some are naturally bowed by snow. Others were deliberately trained by hands long before you. A tree bent sharply then grown onward, with scars at the bend, might be pointing to water or a ford. Don't chase ghosts. Let 2 or 3 such markers sing in chorus before you follow the song off your plan. Whiteout discipline is a checklist, not a vibe. Before you move, bearings written, back azimuth on the cuff, handrail identified, pace beads set, whistle and horn accessible, partner within 10 yards and tethered if the wind takes visibility to 0. Agree on what I think we're off course triggers. 5 minutes of no landmarks. 2 conflicting compass checks. Decide before the sky wipes your ability to decide. Then obey the rule. When lost, stop. Fire, shelter, water, signal. Find true in a circle the size of your camp, not in 10 miles of wandering. Signals are navigation with volume. 3 whistle blasts is the universal help. A tarp waved broadside tells the wind what you want aircraft or ridge walkers to see. A smoky fire says, "Find me now." A clean one says, "We're okay." If you must move to be found, leave a signpost. Arrows stomped into the snow pointing your heading. Notes under a rock, ribbons on branches. Don't assume trackers are magicians. Make it easy and you'll meet them faster. Iron lies aren't just in the dirt. They're in your kit. Compasses, hate stoves, lanterns, phones, magnets in knife sheaths. Make a habit. A clean compass zone in your coat. Left chest pocket for the compass, right for knife, axe keeps to the belt, rifle slung on the opposite shoulder when you sight. When you build a sled, mount the axe on the far side from where you check bearings. Sound fussy? So is frostbite. We honor both with systems, Short legs, frequent checks, plenty of pride swallowing. This is how you refuse the circle. The goal is not straight lines. The goal is controlled lines. Each correction done early costs you yards. Each correction done late costs you daylight, fuel, and sometimes skin. One last anchor. Ravens, crows, and geese aren't oracles, but they're not idiots either. Ravens commute between food and roost. A steady line of them at dawn or dusk suggests a direction worth noting. Geese run lanes to open water, in deep, cold open water clusters near springs or settlements. Don't bet your life on wings, but let them cast a vote in your little parliament of clues. Now the void has edges again. The world is still white, but it's legible. Your needle agrees just enough with your eyes and your feet. Good, you can arrive. But arriving is not the same as keeping what you arrived with. Doors have latches for reasons that don't blow in the wind. Cabins aren't just houses. They're statements. A roof that doesn't cave, a door that doesn't give, a wall that doesn't whisper. These are the real boundaries of winter. You aren't just surviving storms and hunger. You're surviving anything desperate enough to test your latch. Start with the structure. A cabin built fast is a box. A cabin built defensive is a fort that looks humble. Angle approach paths, so a straight line of attack is impossible. Stack spare rounds and snow berms along the windward side, not just insulation but barricade. A narrow entrance is your ally. A door you can brace with a bar across inside pegs turns hesitation into your weapon. Hinges inside, not outside. Gaps stuffed tight against drafts also stuff against fingers and blades. Windows, if you allow them, aren't for sightseeing. They're for sight lines. Small shoulder height, shuttered with planks you can drop in place when the mood of the night turns sour. Smoke holes need collars or baffles that can be sealed. Heat is gold, but smoke is a beacon. Build in options to choke it down fast if strangers sniff your fire. Lighting discipline saves more than fuel. A candle in the wrong window can draw eyes from half a mile across snow glare. Keep flames low and behind screens. Hide in shadow instead of theater. Night is camouflage. Don't give it away for vanity. Drills are the difference between panic and choreography. Walk the household through what happens if the door shakes, if a voice calls from outside, if a shot cracks from the tree line. Assign stations. Who grabs the child, who banks the fire, who shoulders the rifle, who watches the rear wall. Practice in silence, practice in the dark, practice when everyone is tired. The storm won't wait until you're ready. Predators, four-legged or two, read confidence. Wolves test herds, not fortresses. Coyotes linger where scraps fall. Bears half wake when they smell fat. Your answer is noise, fire, and unity. A horn blast, a volley of shouts, a torch raised high. It tells the wild that the cabin has teeth. Humans are no different. A door that bars, a roof that doesn't leak, a rifle that cracks back fast. These whisper to would-be raiders. Not here. Not tonight, but defense is more than walls. It's rotation. Someone on watch at dawn, someone at dusk. Logs kept by the door. Tracks noted. Distant lights marked. Any strange sound written so memory doesn't warp with fear. Information is armor too. When push comes, fight for time, not glory. Hold the door. Signal the network. Fire if you must, but fire with control. Powder is finite, enemies infinite. Aim to discourage, not to spend your last charge proving you're brave. If retreat ever becomes survival, leave caches hidden and routes marked. A cabin lost is not a life lost if the people move intact. Hold the line. Not for the timber, not for pride, but because every dawn you keep the latch shut is another day winter doesn't own.